This news is funded by viewers like you. Please support our work at democracynow.org/give. We begin today's show in Gaza as Israeli tanks are moving into the center of Khan Younis, Gaza's second-largest city, after days of intense shelling and airstrikes. Palestinian health officials say the death toll in Gaza has topped 16,200, including over 6,600 children. This is a resident of Khan Younis speaking after Israel bombed his home.
There were 30 people inside the house. 20 of them were children. Children aged 15 days, 1 year, 3 years, 4 years. We set up a place for them to sleep throughout the bombardment. We put them to sleep. We went to sleep. All of a sudden, what happened to us, we don't know. The fire hit us, and like you see, all of it collapsed on top of us. None of us made it out completely okay. Everybody is hurt. How and why? We don't even understand what happened ourselves. We rushed to the hospitals to check on the children and came back this morning to check the house. Look at this. I swear, we don't even know how we made it out alive.
On Tuesday, Jan Egeland, the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, released a statement saying, quote, "The pulverizing of Gaza now ranks amongst the worst assaults on any civilian population in our time and age. Each day, we see more dead children and new depths of suffering for the innocent people enduring this hell," he said. We're joined now by Yousef Hammash, advocacy officer in Gaza for the Norwegian Refugee Council. He's joining us today from Rafah. Yousef, thanks so much for being with us. If you can start off by talking about what's happening right now from Khan Younis, where you were, to Rafah, where you have fled now.
Thanks for hosting me, Amy. Unfortunately, after 7 days of the humanitarian pause, we weren't expecting that we will see this madness getting increased. The madness is getting bigger and bigger. And directly after the humanitarian pause, the bombing started mainly in the south, and the Israeli land operations started to take place in Khan Younis, and they turned Gaza into 3 pieces, while it used to be cut into 2 parts. Now it's 3 parts. So we have Gaza City and the middle area, and Khan Younis and Rafah. And as the ground operation started eastern part of Khan Younis, and they asked the residents to flee to Rafah. That's what forced us to flee for the 3rd time now to Rafah. And hundreds of thousands of people had to do this, to take this choice to flee into Rafah and to build these small tents made by wooden sticks and plastic under this harsh weather. And it became really crazy situation suddenly. And we had to witness the same as we witnessed in the northern part of Gaza when the military operation, even the war started at 12, after the war started in 12 of October, when they asked us to flee to the south. And we didn't have other option, and we fled to the south, to Khan Younis, and now we found ourselves doing it again. Hopefully it's going to be the last time. Unfortunately, the humanitarian situation is catastrophic here. People are using any place as a shelter. People living on sidewalks and streets and any empty area they found it, they put anything to cover their heads, and they consider it as a shelter without any means of protection. And it's a horrible situation that I don't think I have the ability to describe it. If you see it by your own eyes, you will be shocked. We never witnessed such horror. And you can see it in people's face. They are in a miserable situation that doesn't have any option to do. All what they do is looking for their safety, fleeing from a place to another place.
Yousef, it's not usual in most situations where the journalists themselves are trying to save their own families and their own lives as you report on the entire situation. If you can track your own journey with your family, I think some 60 journalists, Gazan, Palestinian journalists, about that number have been killed in these last weeks, including the head of the Gaza Journalists Association, so many cameramen and reporters. But if you can start with your journey where you left first north and then going home to Jabalia and go from there, and why in each situation the terror and the destruction that you left behind.
So at the beginning of the 7th of October, I had to flee my house because I live in Beit Lahia, which is more near to the border. And usually, based on our previous experience from wars and escalation, it's the first areas to be targeted. And I thought it's better for me to take my children and my extended family to Jabalia camp, which is the center of the north. Yani, convincing myself that it's going to be a bit more safe. And since the moment that I did this decision, I left everything behind. I didn't care what I'm gonna lose. I was looking for the safety of my family. The 2-3 days after the war, my house was targeted. Then my parents' house was targeted, and the other house of my brother was targeted. And on the 12th I had to stay in my grandparents' house in Jabalia. And the 12th of October, we start to receive these phone calls from Israelis and settlers just threatening us and warning us about what's coming. And then I had to decide to flee again from Jabalia to the south based on what they ask us. And again, our responsibility towards our children and our extended families forced us to take these options. We fled to Khan Younis without anything, literally. We had to start our new life. And I was lucky because I have some relatives there. So I managed to find a roof to cover my head. And I wasn't expecting that we will live this horror again, and we had to take this option again for the third time to go to Rafah. But unfortunately in Rafah, we don't have that option to have a roof to cover our heads. And since 2 days, I'm surfing around in Rafah, looking for any place to shelter my family. And unfortunately, until now, I didn't succeed to find a place. Today, I had to go to build a tent for my family, finding a safe place, as they call it in El Mawasi area. That's going to be much safe there. And we follow what's the instruction what we receive. And I had to do the same as other hundreds, thousands of other people in Gaza who had to take that option also. So I had to build a tent. I don't know how we will manage to fit in it, but this is the option that we have. But especially the 2 days when the military operation started in Khan Younis, the horror that we saw from the bombardment, the non-stopping bombardment. I was calculating for the timing between each missile was 8 seconds. Imagining we were living in an earthquake. And that's what, again, always putting us in a situation in front of our children that we are useless to protect them. We cannot even provide protection for our children and my sisters, for example. I felt very, very useless in front of them because I cannot do anything for them. So we had to take that option, convincing ourselves again that we will be safe. I'm pretty sure there is no place safe in Gaza, but we'll do as much as I will take whatever it takes. I'll do it to protect my family.
Now, you're not a journalist. You're an aid worker. You are an advocacy officer in Gaza for the Norwegian Refugee Council. But your descriptions of what is happening there are so critical. How do you do your work, and the other 50 or so Norwegian Refugee Council workers do their work in Gaza as they're being forced to flee? And are you trying to get now over the border from Rafah into Egypt?
Yeah, we are trying to do our best because this is our role and this is why we are here. But unfortunately, we are in the same situation like everyone's here. During the humanitarian pause, we were assessing the situation, trying to do distribution plan because we're trying to help as much as we can people in need. The majority of the entire population in Gaza are in need. So you have to understand the situation in general. Half of the population before 7th of October was relying on humanitarian aid. Imagining adding this catastrophic situation to the need of people. The entire population in Gaza is in need. And if you combine us all as humanitarian actors, we cannot cover the need that we are having here. We use these 7 days to manage to have our trucks entered through Rafah and to do our distribution plan and trying to assist as much as we can. But then we found ourselves in this circle of violence again. And unfortunately, even in front of this situation now, we are useless. We cannot protect ourselves even as a humanitarian workers. There is no protection for any of us. We are all in Gaza under the same circumstances. We are trying, but the situation is preventing us. And trust me, Many of my colleagues had to sleep in the
Can you talk
streets.
about what?
Sorry, go ahead, Amy.
Can you talk about what kind of aid is getting through and isn't getting through, and what it means when you have something like 1.8, 1.9 million Palestinians out of, what, 2.3 million who are on the run, who are internally displaced?
Honestly, Amy, what all of us as humanitarian actors can do is like a drop in the ocean of needs here. And not, we keep asking for allowing more and more trucks of aid to enter, but it's too political, and everyone understands the situation now. They allow on a day, there is no even an accurate number for how many truck per day we can get through Rafah. It's too political situation, which is preventing us to understand. Trust me, in the past few days, we were chasing our trucks. We were trying to find solution how to get it through Rafah, manage it, store it in some place, then trying to distribute it as fast as we can, because we understand it's nothing comparing to the needs. So we are trying to do our best. Even if it was few people that we can assist and help, it is something. But even to reach that small something is not easy. It's almost impossible because of the situation that we are living in. The amount of aid that coming to Gaza is literally
Yousef Hammash.
not tangible and is not affecting the need. It's not really affecting the amount of need that we are having in Gaza.
Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you. Please give today at democracynow.org/give.